Welcome to Tammany Tech 101. I'm Grant Black, Director of Technology for St. Tammany Parish Government. Increasing access to high-speed internet is a priority for President Cooper. St. Tammany is a beneficiary of millions of dollars of federal grants to improve access to broadband in our underserved communities. With that, we want to ensure that our citizens grow in their digital literacy. Today on Tammany Tech, we talk to Kelly LaRocca, Director of St. Tammany Parish Library System.
Hi.
Welcome. Congratulations. You're Director of the Year last year for the entire state at the state conference.
Yes. Thank you very much. I was really surprised, but really pleased.
No.
So
The libraries are a jewel for St. Tammany Parish, so that's exciting to have that, to be recognized like that. How many branches do we have?
So we have 12 locations spread throughout the parish. And I know that we're going to be talking specifically today about different resources that we have for kids and for adults and classes. But I did want to point out before we really got going that when you talk about digital literacy and you talk about the digital resources the library has, put it out there right at the beginning. We do have downloadable materials. So the downloadable books, ebooks, audiobooks, if you're someone who has to travel to New Orleans or hours on the interstate or just hours in getting your kids from here to there and everywhere, because you just between the soccer practice and the piano lessons and everything else, you want to listen to the book, you can, and you can download it. You don't have to pay for a service separately. The library already has those types of things.
And what services?
So we have Hoopla. And when you talk about Hoopla, there is no waiting. It's not like you get in line to be the next person to check it out. It's all the people of the parish could read the same book at the same time if they wanted to.
We use Hoopla a lot at home.
Yeah.
My wife loves it. We get it for the kids. I mean, it really is a great resource.
Yeah. So, like I said, there's the ebooks, there's the audiobooks, there's music and movies too on Hoopla. We also have Overdrive, Libby, and that is another downloadable resource that we have. Not every platform has the same books, and so that's why we have more than one.
Sure.
But you can download those things. You don't have to pay for them as a separate service outside of just having a library card. And I also want to let you know that all of the resources that we have are free to you with your library card. And you can sign up for a library card on our website, which is www.sttamanylibrary.org. And with that card, you're going to have access to everything that we're going to be talking about today. So also, I know that not every area in the parish has high-speed internet right now. I know that we're working on it really hard. But if you find yourself in a situation where you need that high-speed internet access, all 12 of our branches have it, and we have Wi-Fi in the parking lots. So, if you don't have time to come in, but you just need to check your email, you can pull up and hit our Wi-Fi there and get that high-speed access.
So it's funny. I live around the corner from one of the Slidell branches, and seeing, I saw the parking lots full during the quarantine. I'm like, well, what are people doing at the library? It's closed. And it took me, I was like, oh, they're connected to the internet. They're using the Wi-Fi. There's really great service you guys offer.
Yeah, it was really helpful. And also, we do have the hardware inside too. So if what you've got on your phone is something that you need to print, you can come into the library, pull it up, and it sends it directly to the printer. You get your prints and walk out the door. So we've got a lot of hardware services too.
At the broadband conference in August, one of the things that was brought up there at the library system, how basically progressive you guys have been in getting online activities for people, education. It's really, our library system across the state is exceptional, but I think particularly inside St. Tammany Parish is like I said, it's called the jewel. I mean, it really is a jewel, and it's kind of hidden a little bit.
But we've worked really hard to make sure that we had the classes, the resources that people wanted, and that we spent a lot of time trying to figure out what would people like to see, what would they like to learn more about.
Okay, so you want to talk about some of the children's resources? I mean, you got a lot. I think the new one, ABC Mouse, was one you brought up. You wanted to talk about?
Yes, so we do have a lot of children's electronic resources, but we're adding 4 new ones for this year. Started in January, and the first one is one that people are probably going to be familiar with. You see commercials on TV for it. ABC Mouse. So it's a curriculum, and it's designed to help children build a strong foundation in kind of a broad range of subjects. It is 100% educational. There's more than 10,000 learning activities, across all of the different major subjects. But what's really interesting with the library's subscription, we were also able to get the assessment portion. So, you go to the library's website and you use your library card to log on, but you're able to make an account specifically for your family and your children. And you can track their progress. And with that assessment tool, you can see how they're doing. I mean, and when you're talking about ABC Mouse, it's really that pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, first grade, and so basically up to second grade, I would say. So having that assessment tool, you can see where your little ones are. Are they getting ready for kindergarten? Do they have the skills they need? You can test it out and see.
Like I said, so a family account, so you can have multiple children on that account and track progress of each one.
That's right. Yeah, so we're really excited.
We use that during pre-K for he's now in second grade. It was a great resource. It's a good program. I'm excited that we have that.
Yeah.
That's free?
It is free with your library card. So, we're looking into the slightly older age group for ABC Mouse. We're just starting with that 2 years old to 8-year-old range, though. We're going to see how it does and how the public embraces it, and if it proves to be popular and well used, then we'll add a little bit more to it.
Great, Jack. Doing that for our community. Just for kids?
So Just for Kids is streaming entertainment. So it's advertisement free, media platform with all of the television shows that you would think of, Sesame Street, The Electric Company. It's been several years since I've seen The Electric Company, but believe it or not, it's there. Franklin, Author, the Berenstain Bears, all of those. So they're all there. The other interesting thing about Just for Kids is they have some of the Weston Woods and Rabbit Ears Entertainment, which are where they take the picture book and the picture book kind of comes to life on the screen. So it's not a cartoon or a television show, but you see the page of the book and then different pieces of it move.
Interactive storybook.
Yes, it is an interactive
really cool.
storybook. And so the words of the book, they're highlighted as they're read. So if you're learning to read, you can kind of pick up on some of those sight words. And it's an opportunity to get a personal story time on your time.
It hooks into the mic and actually hears the student as the child's reading. That's really cool.
It's really neat. So, and there's games and songs, and so if you're looking for an activity or you can pull something up and enjoy it as a family. So
very nice. So you also have book flicks?
Book flicks, yes. So this again is more along the lines of those animated stories. And what's interesting about book flicks is they pull themes together. So if the storybook is about bears, well then there's nonfiction children's books, about black bears or Louisiana black bears or whatever, so that you have nonfiction and that fiction story, and you're able to put all of those things together. So when you're reading about Franklin the turtle, and now you've got some books all about the turtles and the colors of their shells, and you're able to bring science and reading and all of those things together.
Kind of deep dive in. So once you get the interest into a subject, then it kind of lets you explore that subject further. That's really cool.
Yes. Which if you were in the library, that would happen, right? If you were there for story time and you heard the story time about the turtles, the librarian would probably also have those other books out on a table for people to look at. And so this is allowing you to bring that experience into your house.
Yeah, it's great. Because I think trying to mimic that library environment that you create gets to be much more difficult online, but it sounds like you found some tools to do it.
Yes.
So one of my favorites, big one in my house, National Geographic Kids.
Yes. So this is great if you love National Geographic Kids magazine, or you're just a National Geographic person. You like all of that colorful, beautiful information, and all of the topics that are normally there: science, nature, culture, space. So what this has, it has the magazines and all the back issues of the magazine, and when I talk about the magazine, when you put it on your tablet, it looks, it's not just text.
Yeah.
Like it looks like the magazine.
You get that 4K image come back at you.
Yes, and you flip the pages. And then there's the National Geographic Kids books. on all of the different topics too. And of course, all of those books are beautiful, the photographs, and so I mean, we're thrilled that we're able to have that all in one place.
So how far does that go back? I mean, is it from eternity or?
No, it's the past couple years. It stays
Okay.
current.
Yeah.
And you always have the current issue there. So, and I do believe that you can do some text searching of older
Yeah.
magazines if you're looking for that article that you need for a paper. These are our newest resources, and we have all of the old tried and true things.
Sure.
I mean, we have World Book Encyclopedia on our website, on our resources page. So if you're not able to make it to the library and grab that volume off the shelf, with that letter that you need to look up what it is to get started, we've got that, and all of the research tools that the elementary and middle grades need to do their work. But we were just really excited to talk about these 4 new things that we're going to be offering this year, and I think it'll be an opportunity to kind of bring some fun.
These are great programs you're bringing in. It's funny, going back to like encyclopedia. So my mom was just moving out of her house. We're moving old encyclopedias out, and you start going through them. I mean, it's so quickly those things get outdated. And now there's kids are writing papers, some type of sources, and everyone's very serious about vetting sources. So to have an updated encyclopedia available is huge.
Yeah, it's really great. Now, World Book Encyclopedia is one of the few encyclopedia publishers that still published a paper encyclopedia. We do have that at the library. But the nice thing about our electronic resources is they are updated in real time. So some major event happens overseas, and World Book sits down and updates their article on whatever the topic might be, then it's fresh and new, and you can see the date the last time it was updated. You can see very clearly how old the information is.
So. I'll date myself, but I remember when I was a kid, it was at East and West Germany. So you see the separation there, and then new ones didn't have it.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So.
Okay. So is any other children's, I guess we've talked about the new stuff, anything else you want to talk about maybe with the existing stuff that's just staples in the library system?
Well, so one of the things that we do have on our website, we have some of our story times pre-recorded, because there's always going to be that time when you're not able to pack the 2-year-old and the 4-year-old and the 7-year-old and everyone comes to the library for story time. We started recording some of our story times when the pandemic happened, and we weren't able to have in-person story time for a little while, but we wanted to make sure that we brought that fun into people's living rooms. So we do have that. And of course, we do have in-person story time. So I got to put that out there, and that just started at the beginning of the year. And our story time seasons, it's almost like television seasons, or we have several weeks of story time from January until about the end of April, right at the beginning of May. We take a short break to get ready for summer reading. The summer reading program happens from June, end of May, June, all the way through the end of July. And then, of course, we take a short break, and then we have the fall season of story time. But the interesting thing about all of those the summer reading program, we have a winter reading program too, is we keep track of your reading. Like, you can get prizes for the amount of reading that you do, the minutes of you read, the number of books that you read, and really get excited about learning something new, at least for the kids. For the adults, actually adults get prizes too. You too.
Like a cup of coffee?
Well, no, I think you can get a mug. I think last year was, we had water bottles one year. Okay. But there are prizes for your reading as well.
Well, that's a great segue.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you coming on and talking about the children. When we come back, we'll be back with Kelly to talk about some of the adult programs. And we are back with Kelly LaRocca, Director of the Library Assistant for St. Tammany Parish. And we're going to talk about adult education.
All right.
So let's talk about some of the adult education programs.
So we have several different options if you're learning to, or you're wanting to improve your tech skills. So one of the first things we do is we help people learn how to use their cell phones. So, and you know, if you are older and this is your first time with a smartphone, we can sit down and help you, whether it's Apple or whether it's Android. What's interesting though is we do get people who come in who are forced to sit down with the technology maybe that they're not most comfortable with. So for instance, I'm an iPhone user. I love my iPhone and I know how to use it really, really well. But what if your new job, what they present you with is an Android tablet, or you know that new job it's an all Android office, and so they hand you an Android phone, and you look at it and it does not look the same, and it does not work the same way. And I guess if you sat there long enough and struggled, you could figure it out, or you can come to one of our classes and learn all about it. So we do that both flavors, right?
Yeah.
So iPhone, Android. And
So do the same people teach Android and iPhone? Do they know both?
no, actually, I've got some reference librarians who are absolutely dedicated, like Google and Android phone people, and then I have some that are like die-hard iPhone people, and so they teach the classes that they're the most comfortable with.
So your reference librarians, we'd kind of talked a little bit about that earlier, kind of offset. So some are teen focused, some children. How are those organized?
Well, actually, so it's interesting. We have teen librarians and children's librarians that work at the branches, and they can help you with a lot of these things. But we have specific librarians dedicated to reference help, like they are the answer people. Okay. And they're the librarians that, you know, not that any children's librarian or teen librarian doesn't want to help you find the answers, but reference librarians specialize in that. And they specialize particularly with helping adults. You know, we've taken the time to really get that skill level in helping older adults, you know, because the thing is, like, not everyone, you know, you ask your children or your grandchildren for help with your computer, and maybe they don't quite have the patience, but our reference librarians do. And you know, they're trained to have that patience, and they're also trained to know what the typical things that people struggle with, so that they can help get you started. So, you know, we have a lot of people that will come to see us right after Christmas, just because their grandchildren have given them a new computer or a tablet or a Kindle, or like I said, now you've got a smartphone instead of that phone with the big numbers that you can flip up, and you got to figure out how to use it. And so we do that. We do a brisk business in January just for that reason.
So see, it's Android tips and tricks, and then top 40 iPhone tips. Is that
yes. And honestly, I haven't taken the top 40 iPhone tips class myself, but you'd be surprised what you don't know. I mean, there's things that you know how to do on your iPhone and your tablet, but there's some neat things you can do that you just haven't thought of.
I feel like there's always something new. Every time you go look, you take one of these classes, you'll find something that you didn't know. So that's great. So your phones, Candid Intro to Foundation Directory?
Yes. So one of the resources that the library offers is helping nonprofits with fundraising. So Candid, it has a foundation directory, and the foundation directory used to be these big giant blue books that would sit on the shelf in the reference area, and you would flip through it to find a foundation that supported grants for whatever you were looking for. But now you can sit down at the computer and you type in, you know, the type of area that you're looking for funding for, and it gives you a list of all the foundations that help with that, or what their grant cycles look like. And so at our Covington Library and Slidell Library, you know, we have some librarians specifically trained on all of the Candid resources to kind of give that one-on-one help for people who are looking to raise money for their not-for-profits. And so, but the foundation directory is one of those, and so we're really excited to be able to offer that. Last year was the first year that we were a site for them, so we're really excited to have that.
That's a great program. We have a lot of nonprofits here, and I feel like every day I'm finding out about a new one. So that's great. You guys have resources for that. So is that something, I guess, based on demand? There's so many.
It is. There's a lot. Again, there's a lot of really neat not-for-profit organizations in St. Tammany Parish, and they do a lot of good. But they need that funding, and you have to go other places. Or what is out there that they hadn't tapped into yet. And so we started looking around to see what resources we could put together for those groups, and so. But I mean, with over 239,000 grant-making profiles, like different organizations out there that provide grants, if you don't ask, then you can't get it. So, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Gadgets and gizmos.
Yeah. So
that sounds fun.
That's part of what I was talking about when you get to Christmas time and somebody gets something new, or not even that. If suddenly at work you're going to be using a tablet and being more mobile. Or possibly working from home some of the time. Now you've got a new gadget or gizmo that you don't quite know how to use.
Sure.
We have some small group classes, and we also have one-on-one help with the reference librarians. So you make an appointment and tell them what it is that you're bringing with you, and you sit down with them, and you get all of the, a good 30, 45 minutes worth of instruction on
So is
how
that
to
something
do this.
if they don't know, they'll go take the time to learn it to help you?
We had like a collection of things like a iPad and an Android tablet, Kindles and Kindle Paperwhite's, and they're probably not going to have every gadget or gizmo, but a lot of them work the same way. And again, a lot of time it's either Apple-based or Android-based, and so, like I said, I have librarians of each flavor there that are experts, so they'll get you going.
That's great. Getting started with Libby. What is Libby?
So Libby is Overdrive. I know you were talking about Hoopla and how much your family enjoys Hoopla. Overdrive is the mainstay of ebooks. Like they were the big... the first player out there, the first horse out of the gate with ebooks, really. And so we have a large collection of ebooks on Overdrive, and Libby is their app. I'm not quite sure why they decided to call it Libby, but it is their app. And because that library is so big, that collection is so big, and a lot of the items that are there are not in Hoopla, or they're not accessible any other way. We teach a class just on Libby. You can have Libby on all of your devices, and you can put your tablet down and pick up your phone, 2 hours later, and you're in the same spot in the book that you were with the tablet on Libby. So we teach all of those tips and tricks. If there is an audiobook version too, you can switch between the audiobook and the written back and forth. And the nice thing about apps like Libby is that you can, you make the background black and, read in the middle of the night and try not to disturb the person that's, sleeping next to you.
So you have a night mode, dark mode.
You have a night mode. You can make the text bigger. So if you suddenly realize that maybe I need some glasses, so no, you don't have to do that. You just make the text bigger and you can read it. And the nice thing about all of those apps is you have access to so many books on one tablet, so or your phone, or whatever program you're using, whatever gizmo or gadget that you're using to access Libby. You've got all of those at your fingertips when you go on vacation. You don't have to fill a bag full of books to bring with you. So when we sit down and we teach all of those ebook apps, because then we have a couple.
Yeah. So. All right. So now shifting gears over to Google Drive, which you offer some information on Google Drive.
So, I personally, I'm really comfortable with all those Microsoft products like Excel and Word and all of those things. But my kids at school, they don't, I mean, they use Google Docs or Google Sheets and it looks familiar, but it does not work in quite the same way.
Sure.
I found also that in the collaboration that I do on different committees for professional organizations, a lot of them have switched to, instead of you typing something up and attaching it in the email and sending it, there's a Google Drive and everybody's contributing to it. And so we've started to teach those classes for the people who need to just get a little more familiar for their job or just for working with their kids with homework.
Yeah.
I remember looking at Google Docs and just thinking that I needed to find the save button, and I couldn't find it. And my daughter was like, "No, it does that for you."
Saves.
Yeah. But after I took the class that we offer, and it wasn't long. It was an hour, hour and a half, but it was enough for me to get my bearings, especially since I was already familiar with, a word processing software or a spreadsheet software. They do look alike. They do generally work the same. They're just a little different.
So like Google Forms, do you guys do anything with that? Mm-hmm. So that's what's on. I've been in a lot of groups where they'll say, "Oh, can someone create a Google form?" And there's a lot of like apprehension. I'm like, no, it's actually really easy. Like anyone could do it.
Yes.
And then backs up to a spreadsheet. So it's really cool. So you teach those type things as well?
Yep, we show you how. So, and what's really interesting is, these are shorter classes. They're meant to be an hour and a half. We may have one that goes as long as 2 hours, but I don't believe that we do. They're meant for you to dip your toes in, get familiar. We do have a whole database called Gale Courses, which offers 6-week options in depth on a lot of these. So if you want to have a 6-week in-depth course on Microsoft Excel or on Google, that whole Google suite, it's a class with an instructor, you have fellow students, you get a certificate at the end. And so if you really want to go even more in depth than what I'm talking about with our reference librarians, like we have that option too. So want to put it out there, like if you need more than just your toes dipped or more than just getting familiar with something new, we offer that as well.
So then we did Android, iPhone, so you have Google Drive, and then Microsoft's the other side of that, right?
Yes, so we have always offered Excel, PowerPoint, and Word classes, and those, again, you sit down and they explain, okay, well, this looks like a sheet of paper, but if you look, there's a ribbon at the top, and these are all of your tools. I mean, they start from the very beginning. We do have some intermediate classes occasionally, but having those Excel, PowerPoint, and Word basic classes really makes a difference. The kids at school are doing PowerPoint, and so being able, to see, what your kids are doing and how to help them, that's always useful. But Excel is how I keep track of a lot of my budgets and things like that. So if you've got a home budget and you want to use, just the basics of Excel, we'll get you started with that. We have people who take like our memoir writing classes, and because we have all kinds of different activities for adults that are not computer-based. But you're part of a memoir writing class, you sit down and get some Microsoft Word basics, and you're able to type up, what you've been working on. One of the other things that we do, and this is just it's technology enabled, but it's not a class on technology, is we do have adult programs, like craft programs, even yoga, where it's a virtual program, and they're live virtual programs. So if you're in a situation where you're not able to leave your house, but you want to participate in adult library programs, holiday card making, or whatever craft they have going on that month, you can participate online. as part of a Zoom class, and we have those all year long. So
You
that
register through the website?
you register through the website. So I know that's not technology focused classes.
No, but I think you go to Zoom. I think that makes
Yeah.
sense. You know,
Yeah,
you're
and
enabling people to interact with the library outside the library. I mean, that's
Yes.
really what we're trying to do. So,
Absolutely.
thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate the information. It's been great having you, Kelly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for joining us on Tammany Tech 101. We look forward to helping improve digital literacy in our community.